The punching power. Oh! There it is! Inoue goes down! Your attempt. There's the right hand! He just answered the question! And the monster has roared!
Naoya Monster Inoue!
Hey Ringsiders, what is going on? This is your host, Boxing's Objective Observer with Ringside Stories, or if you're new, we make content regarding boxing through mini documentaries, post-fight reviews, backstories, and much more. So if you enjoy that type of content, feel free to subscribe, thumbs up, and hit the notification bell for the latest here on Ringside Stories. Thanks so much for your support in advance, and welcome to the channel. With a 6-round TKO win over two-weight world titleist Luis Nery in front of a 55,000 crowd sold-out Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, Japan, Naoya Inoue solidifies his position as the #1 pound-for-pound king in the world as of right now. And look, I understand when it comes to the pound-for-pound rankings, it's based on opinion, but as boxing fans, this makes for great conversation. Now, if we go off of Naoya Inoue's accomplishments, his level of opposition and activity combined, there is no doubt who takes the top spot other than the monster Naoya Inoue. Now, I know many of you will claim Terence Crawford. I hear you. Bud is one of my favorite fighters today. More on that later. Let's go over 5 points combined with some takeaways from Inoue versus Nery. Number 1, the Mike Tyson curse. 34 years ago on February 11th, 1990, undefeated and undisputed heavyweight champion of the world Mike Tyson lost to James Buster Douglas in the Tokyo Dome in what was widely considered to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest upset in boxing or even sports history. After 34 years, on May 6, 2024, the Tokyo Dome hosted the fight between Naoya Inoue and Luis Nery for the undisputed super bantamweight world championship. And for one moment, the boxing world, including Naoya Inoue himself maybe, was taken aback in round 1 when Luis Nery floored Naoya Inoue for the very first time in his professional career. Inoue grazed Nery with a short uppercut in the pocket, leaving himself wide open for a left hook from the hard-hitting Mexican southpaw. Going by the eye test, it seemed to be a flash knockdown as Inoue took his time to get up, looked like he had his wits about him, and didn't seem too hurt, if at all. As the monster regrouped, moving around with his legs underneath him, Naoya Inoue didn't panic, didn't just run away. He even engaged with Luis Nery, evading shots and throwing some good counters even off the ropes. If anything, that knockdown seemed to energize Naoya Inoue and came back with vengeance, ruling out any chance of the repeat of the Mike Tyson curse.
Hey, look up this young fighter called the Monster. You ever hear Monster? He's better than Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao was blue like that. The mean son of a...
Number 2, champion swag. Universal truth or cliche, not just in boxing, tells us that champions are born during adversity. We already knew the destructive offensive force that is Naoya Inoue, with 24 out of his 27 wins coming by way of stoppage or KO. Now, we've seen Naoya Inoue fighting through a broken jaw against hard-hitting Hall of Fame and 4-weight world champion Nonito Donaire, but this was the first time we saw Naoya Inoue actually drop. The way the 2-weight undisputed world champion dealt with his knockdown speaks volumes of confidence and control. Inoue did not panic. He did not lose his composure. He continued to download the info from Luis Nery, who posed problems shooting that left straight from the southpaw stance in the beginning stages of this fight. And immediately, Naoya Inoue returned Luis Nery the favor, dropping the former 2-weight world titleist in round number 2. In the succeeding rounds, not only did Naoya Inoue show he completely figured out Nery, the monster started to time and hurt Nery badly, which opened up an opportunity to showcase his showmanship.
He got the whole package, I believe so. If you want to say a fighter that got the whole package, he's one of them.
Naoya Inoue does have the whole package. He's an exciting fighter, reminiscent of an up-and-coming 2000s Manny Pacquiao. Unlike Pacquiao, Naoya Inoue is fundamentally and more technically sound. However, like Manny Pacquiao, Naoya Inoue really is a superstar in his native country of Japan, with people showing up even on a Monday. He's got the belts. His fights are scintillating, capturing the imagination of the audience, even worldwide, yet seems very humble and respectful, typically Japanese, or so it seems, which is why so many people can relate to Naoya Inoue. Number 3, pound for pound, number 1. If there's any more brownie points to be gotten on boxing's pound for pound list, then Naoya Inoue sits high at number 1. Well, what about Terence Crawford? Bud Crawford is a phenom in his own right, and again, one of my personal favorite fighters in the sport of boxing right now. And his undisputed welterweight championship performance against then undefeated unified world champion Errol Spence Jr. was the exclamation mark of a career which has been underrated and quite frankly disrespected. Terence Crawford made the fight against Errol Spence Jr. look so easy, and Crawford now seems to get a bit of the respect that he truly deserves. That said, that performance was over a year ago at the making of this recording. Bud is about the challenge for a world title in his 4th weight division this August against Israel Madrimov, who currently holds the WBA world title at 154. Terence Crawford hasn't seen action in the ring since the Spence fight, unless we forget that days prior to Spence versus Crawford, Naoya Inoue fought an undefeated unified world champion in his own right whilst moving up in weight division, that being Stephen Fulton, who many boxing pundits, especially in the United States, argued would offer Naoya Inoue many problems. Cool Boy got dominated for 7 rounds, losing on all 3 scorecards by wide margins before getting stopped in round 8. After the Stephen Fulton fight, Naoya Inoue went on to fight twice, first against Filipinos Marlon Tapales, who held the IBF and WBA world titles at 122, yet who Naoya Inoue outclassed, then overpowered, scoring a 10th round KO victory. And Naoya Inoue's recent win over yet another former world titleist in 2 weight classes, in which, besides the surprise knockdown in round 1, Inoue pretty much controlled the fight, hurting his opponent. Keep in mind, Naoya Inoue prefers the toughest challenges as opposed to taking stay busy fights in the interim based on activity alone. The consistency, having won world titles in 4 different weight classes, of which 2 undisputed world title runs, which Inoue has achieved in just over 1 year, upping Terence Crawford, and the quality of opponents in just the last 12 months alone, there is no doubt who the best fighter is pound for pound, and that is Naoya Inoue. Number 4, legendary resume. Naoya Inoue is still undefeated in 27 fights at the making of this recording. Inoue has won world titles in 4 different weight classes and has capped that off with 2 undisputed world title runs, of which he just made his first defense at 122. Inoue's run in the bantamweight division started in 2018, stopping Jamie McDonnell in round 1. The monster ended up fighting his way through the World Boxing Super Series that saw him stop a former world titleist in round 1, Juan Carlos Payano, who at the time had never been stopped and only had 1 loss on points on his record. In the semifinals of the World Boxing Super Series, Naoya Inoue took on then undefeated IBF world champion at bantamweight Emmanuel Rodriguez, who Inoue knocked out in 2 rounds. In the finals, Inoue faced Nonito Donaire, which was Ring Magazine's Fight of the Year 2019. Inoue persevered through a broken jaw, beating the future Hall of Famer on points, winning the World Boxing Super Series. From there on, Naoya Inoue would go on a 8-fight winning streak, all by stoppage or KO, crowning himself as the undisputed king in the 118-pound division before moving up and repeating his undisputed run at 122, becoming undisputed world champion twice in the span of just over 1 year. Naoya Inoue is the second man to become the undisputed world champion in the 4-belt era behind Terence Crawford, but there's no one who became undisputed twice as fast as the Japanese monster. And although Terence Crawford has solidified his status as an all-time great whilst defeating Errol Spence Jr. in 2023, as mentioned earlier, Naoya Inoue was carving out his own legacy. After beating undefeated unified world champion Stephen Fulton, Inoue returned to action that same year, capturing all belts at 122 in 1 calendar year. After cleaning out both 118 and 122, Naoya Inoue has already stepped in the ring defending all of his 4 belts against the dangerous former world titleist in Luis Nery, and the quest for more is on. Number 5. Next for Naoya Inoue. On to bigger and better things. Naoya Inoue is set to face his mandatory challenger, Australia's Sam Goodman, in the fall of 2024. The fight may involve the Saudis, who may continue to push Naoya Inoue's stardom to higher levels outside of his native of Japan. Not that that is a necessity, as Naoya Inoue is a throwback fighter who doesn't fight for money. There is talk of Naoya Inoue going up to featherweight. The question is, will Inoue move to 126? Because looking at the landscape, there are champions Naoya Inoue could have a great chance against. Then there is talk of a potential dream fight with Gervonta Tank Davis, who holds Naoya Inoue in high regards.
Yeah, if I can get down to 130 and he can move up a little bit, yeah, that would be cool. But I don't really see myself really like fighting him. Like, that would be a reach.
Now, even without the Tank fight, which would be a bridge or maybe too far, how far do you think Naoya Inoue can go in terms of moving up in weight classes? Can the monster capture more world titles in weight classes above 122 and come close to the discussion of repeating the Pac-Man's achievement was the only 8-weight world champion as of this recording? Let us know your thoughts of Naoya Inoue, his fight against Luis Nery, and who you think the number 1 fighter is pound for pound. Let us know in the comments below. If you're new to this channel and you haven't already, we make content regarding boxing through mini documentaries, backstories, and much more. So if you enjoy that type of content, I know you will love this channel. Feel free to subscribe, thumbs up, and hit the notification bell for the latest here on Ringside Stories. Thanks so much for your support, as it helps out the channel a lot. Now, if you've done that already, you're amazing. We already know that you're the true undisputed world champion. Till next time, Ringsiders, this is your host, Boxing's Objective Observer, with Ringside Stories. Thanks for watching, and have a legendary day.